One large importer of Italian cheese from Italy to the United States has asked us to look into Italian cheese prices from various regions and to add them to UDM. However, they needed the data not just in the original unit in which it is reported, which is euros per kilogram typically, but also in dollars per pound and dollars per metric ton. So in this video, I'm going to illustrate how to connect to UDM, download this data, and prepare it for use. So we'll go to data, get data from other sources, from OData feed, https UDM direct dairymarkets.com. I'll use universal. I'll type in my username, and the table name is UDM report Italy dairy product prices weekly panel latest. Let's see how the data looks like first. So this is a panel table, which means that it does not have all this time series spread out across many columns. Rather, they're all stacked here. You can see that the series names are different row by row. This is also a latest table, which means that it does not contain revisions, should there any be. It only contains the most recently revised data. Recently, we started adding both the original and translated names, translated to English as a lingua franca of the dairy international community. Asiago pressato fresco prezzo minimum would be Asiago cheese fresh pressed wholesale price low. The area name is also translated, which is not that relevant in this particular table, but in some other international tables we'll be adding soon. We want to provide the area name in the original language, even the letter, and then English translation will be more useful there. Report name also in the original and translated version. Publisher name. Category and measure are still not populated. What I'm planning to add there is for measure to add price, for category to add the type of cheese. So this one would be Asiago, this one would be Gorgonzola, etc. But we don't have that yet, so those two columns are still not populated. Now, the next innovation we introduced is the multiple units. So most of this data is originally published in euros per kilogram, but we also want to make them available in dollars per pound and dollars per metric ton. So on our end, we do all the conversions on the fly. Every time that we push the data to this table, we also convert it both from kilograms to metric tons and also from euros to dollars. And you can see here the unit conversion factor from the original units of euros per kilogram to dollars per metric ton. We multiply by 1,000 to get from kilograms to metric tons. And then the exchange rate on this particular week was $1.13 per euro. The exchange rate used in this case is the European Central Bank reference rate for euro to US dollar. A final innovation is that we also added the timestamp when the data was added to this particular table. So you can see that I just created this table half an hour ago. So that's why it's the data is showing March 21st. But as we add this data every week, the timestamp will reflect when each particular row has been updated or inserted. This also makes it pliable for direct automated parsing. Some of our clients prefer to pull data into their in-house databases. Now they can do that. The active field indicates that no record is ever deleted from this table, even if it was incorrectly inserted. The Excel users will always see active equal to true, but ETL users with appropriate filtering can also see both active true and false, false meaning that the record is soft deleted. For our Excel users, that is not relevant. So how do you, from a table like this that is full of static data that we may want to see once when we are first exploring it, but not really every time that we pull in the data? So we will start by just removing the columns that we may not need in our day-to-day work. So I'm going to leave the English version of the series name, English version of the area name, and I'm going to delete a lot of other static data. Static meaning not changing through time. Publisher translated. This is all going to go. I'm going to delete current category and measure. This column converted original units suggests which of the units is the original unit, and then others would of course be derived from it. We don't need it on a day-to-day basis, most likely. The week ending is standardized to be Sunday, because this is international data. Sometimes in the United States we standardize week ending to be Saturday, but in this case it makes more sense to put it to be Sunday. We don't necessarily need report period and publication date, so I'll remove them as well. I'm just interested in the value here, so I'm not interested in the exchange rate or the unit conversion factor, so I'm going to remove them as well. I'm going to remove the timestamps, and now we're getting very close to what we actually do want. What I'm hoping to get to in the end is the table where different cheeses are in different columns and they all have the same units, and for my purpose, let's say that I want to see only the data in dollars per metric ton. So only converted units. So we will filter on that. If it's dollars per metric ton, makes sense to round it. Decimal points at that point add really no additional business value. As an information, as a data. We'll merge these two columns. Separator will be comma space. So now we have unique heading for the columns we want to create. I'll sort it ascendingly here, just to facilitate the pivoting. I'm going to make the week ending be just date. Take the series, pivot, values, and value. Sometimes when you have very large table, instead of don't aggregate, it makes sense to put sum here. The table is well defined. There will always be only one entry for each week ending and a series area name for a particular unit. So in this particular table, there's no danger in putting sum. For others, if you're not sure, put don't aggregate. Click OK. Okay, I'll put the week ending descending. So we have the most recent data first. And there you have it. Now close and load. And we have all the data we want.